It's me,
Hi,
Combo.
good evening.
Good evening, Mike.
Okay, we start preliminary on Facebook. We
Okay.
have less than a minute to go. Mike,
Yes.
whenever you're ready, it's
Okay.
already 9.
You ready, Marty?
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I'll start now. Good evening, Asia. It's Friday evening, and it's time for our weekly Asian Bird Fair online talk. I'm Mike Liu in the Philippines. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live and here on Zoom. Tonight is okay. My sound. Okay. Tonight is episode 7 of our Beyond Birding series, and our guest tonight is a good friend, Mardy Sean of Sam Biasna Conservation Tours. Good evening, Mardy.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening, everybody.
How are you?
I am very good. Thank you so much.
You have a very interesting and relevant topic tonight.
I think
Are you
so.
ready for that?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
thoroughly, yeah. Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's Mardy Sean with his topic, Challenges in Conservation During the Time of COVID in Cambodia. Mardy,
Yep.
you can start now, Mardy.
Okay. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes,
Clearly,
Marty, you're
very
good.
clear. Yes.
All right. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Good evening, international friends and local friends. And I think this is the first time that I I do the online presentation, which I have never done anything like this before. And first of all, I would apologize for my English. That is not our native one, but this is like the great honor that I can share the challenge and especially the conservation time or the birding in Cambodia during the COVID-19, which is one of the really nice topic, which is one of the very nice topic that I am going to share right now. So Nick, next. So again, I hope everyone stay safe, and anyway, please enjoy our presentation. But before we go to the main topic, I mean, first of all, I would like to introduce myself, because some friends may know me before and some may not know me before. So my name is Mardy Sean, as you can see on the screen. Yeah, so Mardy is my first name and Sean is my family name. And I got introduced to a birding world by my friends. So I think back to the last 10 years, Mr. Johnny On from the Cambodian Guy Association. He was the one that gave me the information about to look for like a birding guy. And then at that time I was really surprised, because I mean, from the beginning, I never known anything about bird or nature or anything like that. So in 2000, I think late 2009 and nearly 2010, that I started to know some Vietnam, and I had joined the bird training with some guys at the time. So it was like my first time to see the real birds and to see the real forest, and especially the first bird that made me, became a bird guide until nowadays was the white-throated kingfisher, as I never believed that, the bird is so amazing. The bird is so beautiful until I saw them my real eye. Yes. Next. Next. Yeah, so currently I am working for Some Vietnam Conservation Tour, which was former Some Vietnam for Wildlife, Some Vietnam Center for Wildlife Conservation, as it started in the year 2006. And until now, we still operate and do the same thing, bringing, all the serious birder and people and tourists around the world to witness the precious wildlife in our country. And let me introduce you to our company's name. Some Vietnam actually was the name of a person, and he was the one that, found so many interesting locations and places for the conservation, and his name is Some Vietnam. But during his mission looking for one of the extinct mammal back to the last 1999, where he got malaria and he died at the times. And not currently, but previously, like I would say even April or the last a few months or several months, it was like our high season, as you know that. I mean, we used to bring so many international birder and people to go to see the bird in their habitat. And we are working more than 20 sites across the country, and we could see more than 500 species of birds around the whole country, and include the 27 endangered and 7 critically endangered species. So Some Vietnam is working closely with the Wildlife Conservation Society and the Ministry of Environment, that we could access to most of the protected area in Cambodia. But apart from that, we used to receive a lot of awards from the international, such as the 2007, the Responsible Tourism Award, and the last one in 2016, that we won the Gold Award from the best contribution to the wildlife conservation. And that's what our SPC model that we are doing. So please next. Right, so this is one of the very cute map from Cambodia, and I think you can see on the screen with all of the green dots, yeah, with all of the green dots, and those indicate the place where Some Vietnam Conservation Tour taking our clients, and those are the spot where Wildlife Conservation Society, which is called WCS, they do the protection, the protection for the wildlife in that area. So Cambodia is not really a big country, but the size is about 181,035 square, kilometers. And you can see on the southwest and the northeast part of the country, where you can see the very dark green color that indicates the rainforest or the evergreen forest that has the high altitude, which is start from almost 200 meters up to nearly 2,000 meters. And in the central part, you can see the very big channel, which is known as the Mekong River, that almost flowing from the north, down to the south. And then somewhere in the center where it meets Phnom Penh, that it made another channel, which is create Tonle Sap River. And then we have the very large lake or the Great Lake. It is called Tonle Sap Lake, that known as the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia. And also to the northern part of the country, where you can see the change of the habitat, that which is called the dry dipterocarp forest, which is the most important place that hosts most of the big mega faunas in Cambodia. And especially it is the place where we currently bring our clients to see the rarest species of the ibis in the world, and that is called giant ibis, and another one is the white shoulder ibis. But Tonle Sap Lake right here, it is the largest freshwater lake in Southeast Asia, and also we have a place called Prektol Ramsar site, which is one of the most important breeding location for the endangered water birds such as greater adjutant and milky stork. But in Prektol, not just only those two species, but thousands of storks, cormorants and darters and pelicans are also breeding in that area. And not very far, you can see that down south of the lake a little bit, you can see the grassland, which is one of the most important place where it still have a number of the very rare bastards, which is called the Bengal florican. That I think that species you can find them in Nepal and also in India, but the rest of the population, they are also living in Cambodia, especially around the Tonle Sap Lake. Right, please go next. Right, so it's not very difficult to understand our some Wisna conservation tool model. As you can see, that wildlife is so important, right? So wildlife is very important. Is the key for the income that create for the community. So when we have, you know, numbers of the ibises or the critically endangered species still remained in the real habitat from where they live, and then those wildlife, they could attract, you know, a lot of tourists. So as every year except 2020, that we were trying very hard, so was the world trying very hard. We are trying to, you know, to attract a lot of tourists, but unfortunately, there's a very bad, you know, thing happened in the world. So as in Cambodia as well, and that's about the COVID, and we will see through about what's going on at that time. So when we have the wildlife could attract so many tourists to come to Cambodia, but what the tourists will play when they arrive, and then also before they step into the wildlife places. So they pay the contribution conservation, and that contribution conservation, which is very important to change the behavior, to change the idea, to change the concept. Yeah, to change the concept of the local people. So when people, they understand about the value of the ecotourism, when they understand about the value of the fund that they have created from what they have done, so the wildlife in their territory became very safe, and it kept attracting more and more. So it's like circling around the whole time. So you can see that in the spot where we mentioned about the free and the nation, within, you know, from 2015 until now, we have contributed more than $500,000 to the remote community inside Cambodia. Next. Right, so this is one of the case study that we have done, I think last year's in June 2020 mainly. So we have the Excellency Nate Patra, the Secretary of State and the spokesman from the Ministry of Environment. He led the ceremony where some Vietnam conservation tour handed over $8,500 of the conservation contribution to Thmak Pao community. From those contributions, the picture on the right below, there is the guy who wearing the green shirt, and he is the chief of the community from Tamat Pai, the most famous place of the giant ibis and the white-shouldered ibis. So that guy, he also provided, you know, $1,090 to the Ministry of Environment Ranger to support their patrolling activities, because this is another fund that the community they can deal, because, you know, in order to monitor the wildlife conservation, the community also have their own patrol team that they, you know, kind of working together with the MOE or the Ministry of Environment Ranger in order to patrol and do some activity to, you know, to keep the conservation work going on until today. Okay, next. Wow, this is our main topic, that what we are going to talk about. Can you go to the next slide, please? Immediate impact of COVID. Yay! So, oh no, back to the, yeah. Okay, you can see our topic like pre-COVID-19. So mainly some of our friends from, you know, the international friend, they've been visiting Cambodia in the past recent years, and I assume that you could know some location in this picture, and you can see that during the pre-COVID, and we never understood what was or what is COVID until today, almost like more than a year already. So in this picture, tourists, they visit Breakdown, you know, the Ramsar site. Picture the tourists visit the northern plain, they visit the grassland to see the Bengal florican, people visit the remote temple, and also people visit the, you know, Angkor Wat. So I can't believe that, you know, for my personal experience, middle of the high season, tourism stopped immediately. You know, Cambodia put heavy restriction on travel, and while this was the correct things to do to protect lives, but this meant overnight there was no tourism. Yeah, this season we have had international tourists or tourism, and this has been difficult not only for us guys, you know, but for the community who benefit from our tour especially. Right. You go to the next one. Yeah, so it's really sad, right? You can see Cambodia during the COVID. By these two pictures, you can understand totally this is a really massive different from, you know, the pre-COVID and the COVID time. Every year, Cambodia, you know, welcome 4 to 5 million tourists, and I would say that 85 to 90% of the tourists who come to Cambodia, you know, they must go to visit Angkor Wat. But in this picture that was taken recently by our team, you know, our colleague, it is only him taking a picture in front of Angkor Wat temple, which is unbelievable. Even myself, you know, my colleagues, because I would say that in Siem Reap, many people depend on tourism industry, but during the COVID there is something changed. A lot of people lost the job, many people migrate, you know, like the labor worker from Thailand or from the other country, they came back during the COVID time, and then, you know, it caused some problem, and it also affected to the conservation as well. Next slide, please. Right, you know, the impact, you know, from the conservation at the time during the COVID-19, you can hear that some the news from 2020, you know, like in March, and there were the 2 giant ibis, you know, were killed. Yeah, there were 2 giant ibis were killed in the poison pond, you know, like in the floodplain. Sorry, in the pond inside Chai Wildlife Sanctuary. And also another case that happened almost the same month in this 2021, another 2 giant ibis was killed by the trap. from the poacher, which is really, really, really bad. That means about 3 to 4% of the global population of the giant ibis, gone from the wildlife sanctuary. And also at the same time, around 100 painted stock chicks, were poached in March 2020 at the Prektor Ramsar site. Yeah, economic strain turned to exploiting natural resources. And the same time, in 2021, we also found one banteng, like one of the big mammals as well, died inside the 2 different wildlife sanctuary between the 2 giant ibis and the banteng itself. Yeah, next please. So in terms of the COVID-19, as you can see that the whole country and the travel restrict was happening and is still ongoing until nowadays. And just only recently that I have mentioned earlier that I know that in the world the COVID been impact so many lives, especially elderly, and in some country, thousand and thousand cases just happen every day. But Cambodia, we were very, very frightening at the moment. Even the numbers still very, very low. But within the last several years, we feel like it's okay about that time. But now we have some cases of people die every day, but not the big number, and the case in the whole country is just around 5,000. But previously, within the last several months, we SPC try to adapt to that situation, and we create and we join some conservation activity with the. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, we join the activity with the Wildlife Conservation Society and the local community for the Muswin Food Expedition or Muswin Food Expedition, which is one of the most exciting birds for me. As I have mentioned previously that I introduced myself that I have become a bird guide for more than 10 years. And I think last year, 2019, it was the year that I saw two Muswin food with my real eye. And then 2020, yeah, like I mentioned, we had joined the survey for the Muswin food. As you know that the Muswin food is very, very rare, I would say, in the world. And the purpose of this plan, is to outline a strategy to prevent the extinction of the Muswin food in Cambodia. And the plan has been developed based on an incomplete knowledge of Muswin food status and ecology in Cambodia. However, the recommendation is to act quickly and decisively based on the information available today. Right. I can also mention a little bit about why we are joining or doing the Muswin food. It was formerly common, right? The Muswin food, it was formerly common, but over the past 20 years, it has been lost as a breeding species from Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. And it is now thought that the Muswin food never bred in Malaysia or in Indonesia. And 10 years ago, 3 breeding populations remained in the northeast of the corner of the Sundarban of Bangladesh, and in North and West Myanmar became extinct in the last 10 years as a result of hunting and entanglement in fishing gear and clearance of the referent vegetation that the population in the Sundarban extensive mangrove ecosystem number is around 80 to 160 birds. But I think in the future, or maybe in 2021, the Muswin food probably change its status from endangered to critically endangered, because even the population in Bangladesh is not secure and it's not safe for them to be survive in the natural habitat. And of course, there is no must-win food number in the captivity as well. So in Cambodia, I think that is the hope, and what we are trying to do, for the next 2022. That we try to apply the model of you can hear or already about the Smart Valley, where we see the giant ibis. So we're gonna try to make. We hope strongly 2022, everything's gonna be okay, and this place will become one of the nice place for the tourists to see the must-win food. Yeah. Next. And here is the map, right? I mean, the Gulen Promoted Wildlife Sanctuary is one of the very amazing and the most important wildlife sanctuary in Cambodia, because in that part of the country, most of the critically endangered species, they are living in that area, and that include 3 species of the vultures. I mean, in Prabhir province, not inside, not the wildlife sanctuary, but I mentioned the Prabhir province. But 2 wildlife sanctuary, Gulen Promotep and the Chai Wildlife Sanctuary, are very important, because giant ibis, white shoulder ibis, 3 species of the vultures, and also white-winged duck, the endangered animal, also the endangered bird, and also the must-win food. They are living in those areas. So this is the main important place for the conservation. Please go to the next slide. Right. And excuse me, apart from that, so after we doing some activity with the local community and also with the wildlife conservation society, and some years now we have launched the new activity. So we have introduced our company, and we have introduced the real wildlife, and we have introduced the precious bird from our country to the new team, to the new people, to the new birder, to the young generation, because we have created the schedule tour, for people who live in Phnom Penh City, for people who live at the coastal areas. So we mainly focus on the local expats, or even the local people like Cambodian people. They frankly can join the tour, and it was happened nicely and smoothly back to the last January, and January it was like happening well, and earlier February as well. So that the little bird in the presentation on the right side, and that is a very, very small Orthothemus jactamuk, which is one of the endemic species of the country. If you never been in Cambodia, so this one is one of the newer species that found in 2012, and you can see that it is the Cambodian tailor bird. And the down below is the great hornbill, which is one of the very attractive birds at the southern part, of the country, where people climb the Boko National Park, or you will see that sort of bird, and the forest there is nice. And that place is one of the new site for Cambodia. So I mean, like the new site for the local expat, because we never done kind of big tour like that. And apart from these activities, we also had create more scheduled tour refer to the Cambodian public holiday, and that sort of tour people can book online and then register, and then we just bring you straight into the real place and to see the real bird. Okay, can you go next? Well, you can see that maybe some friend may found out that I am a little bit bigger. than the previous time. I was slim and I was thin, but at this point I was sitting down in the grassland. I was sitting down in the grassland in Kampong Thom province. So Kampong Thom province and the grassland light there was very important for the population of the Bengal florican. And SBC can also adapt, you know, to that kind of the situation. Even we don't have tourists or much tourists, you know, to deal during the high season. But at this time, we also keep, you know, updating our skill, especially with our local guy, and we also receive most projects from the partner to do some conservation survey and activity regarding to the Bengal florican. Recently, earlier late February and early March, I spent my 2-week times with team in one of the biggest protected area, or we call the national park, to the northeast of the country, which is called Virachai. And it is a wonderful place. I never been there before, and I also try to see some species that could only seen in that area, but not other parts of the country. But I miss a few. But it was the place that I recently gained some more species, but I think maybe not really important to the conservation, such as endangered or critically endangered. But I got several lifers. But I think in the future, Ratanakiri or Virachai will become one of the most interesting place for the researcher and also the birder, because the place is amazing. Yeah. Next slide, please. Right. Ooh, new Goyun. You know what Goyun is? And in this picture, you can see a trailer. Yeah, you can see like we have a trailer and we have a very small tractor. I usually call it a hot rock. Right. So please help me to click on the video. Maybe we can enjoy a very short video a little bit about the Goyun. And then I will describe and telling you what is that.
Mardy, the video is not working. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. So the video maybe is not working correct. No problem. Right. So it's okay. Let me tell you a little bit about the Goyun. So Goyun, you know, like go is the cow, right? We call the ox or the cow. So Yun is like the machine. So Goyun is the cow machine or machine cow, something like that. And the idea that we created this kind of things, because imagine like normally the whole birding activity with friends and clients mainly happening during the dry season, which is easier for them to go and access to those locations easier. But imagine in a rainy season, the northern plain is one of the very, very special floodplain. Is one of the very, very special flooded area that happening mainly in the rainy season, and then after that it became very, very dry. But from November until from June to November, to access to those areas is very, very difficult, like a nightmare. So we then still can support our local community. We still bring some client who really want to see, you know, the wildlife in that area. Even they cannot go by the 4-wheel drive, or they cannot go by the vehicle. So Goyun is the main things. It can be worked in any place, any situation of the road. And this sort of thing can be, you know, like a scheduled tour that we try to attract our local expat, you know, apart from the dry season. If in a rainy season, we still can also to go into the forest and try to see our bird. Yeah. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? Sorry that we cannot see the video. Okay, and of course, I mean, during the free time, you can see that some Vietnam conservation tool now we have totally update our website. Yep. And update all of the information. We create new website with all tools and latest information about our sites, and including bird profiles and updated bird lists. It's like you do a shopping online. Once you feel like enough with all of the information provided, you click and then you pay, and then your tour totally assigned with your guide. So yeah, I think this is the thing that we try to be ready for the next season when everything come back to normal, and we are strongly to continue with our power to support our community. Okay, we can go to the next slide, please. All right, in the future, yeah, can you go to the next slide? Wow, sorry, a bit very hot here. Right, improve tourism infrastructure in communities. In this picture, you can see we have the lovely gibbons, and that's called the southern, yellow-cheeked crested gibbon, which is one of the endangered gibbons that can be found along the Anamai Mountain between Vietnam and Cambodia. So seeing this beautiful species, you need to go to the northeast part of the country, and a very nice place is the Jahu Gibbon Camp. So, which is one of the very nice place where you can enjoy watching primate, two endangered primates such as the black-cheeked crested gibbons and another species of the monkey, the langur. Yeah, black shank-duk langur. And of course, in that area, not just only the primates, but you can also see the endangered Jermaine peacock pheasant, which is one of the lovely pheasant that you can see around there, and also peafowl or the Barbalete pitta, one of the very, very cute birds for me, and also maybe so as many other birds there as well. And some business still provide the ongoing training to our community. Sorry, yeah, we are continuing to work with the community to build the infrastructure, and we hope that in the future there will be a big projects going on at the Northern Plains and also at the Jahu Gibbon Camp. And we are also looking for the fund now, to do a big change to improve the infrastructure in the Northern Plains. And we also have international partners like James Eaton from Bird to Asia, who have raised donation to support community during this difficult time. From his support, it goes through to the local drivers, to the community that used to receive tourists during the high season. But during this hard time, I'm sorry, yeah, during this hard time, they don't even have one tour into that area. So we could find out the very, very difficult time. So life just gone back to the normal situation, as they are the farmers, they still can cook rice. I'm sorry, still can grow rice, and they can also still, do some small activities like, collecting the non-timber forestry product, etc. So next slide, please. Excuse me. And apart from that, we also still ongoing with our training activity, and we also, provide our training to refresh and to sharpen our guide knowledge. And we also bring them to visit the new area of the Koh Sam Sup. As you know, that Koh Sam Sup is one of the very beautiful place along the Mekong River. And this beautiful area is very, very famous for, I would say, the Mekong wagtail, which is one of the species that occur along the Mekong River. And the only one that we call it Motacilla samviasna. But beside the Mekong wagtail, Koh Samsep, hosts numbers of the beautiful species such as the white shoulder ibis. It can be seen along the Mekong River in the Koh Samsep area. And the river tern, which is one of the very rare tern in Cambodia, and the population right now is, facing the challenge of the extinction because of the change of the Mekong River, level and quality. But there's still a number of the river tern breeding in that area, and also close to the next, island in another province called Stem Trang. Okay, can you go next, please? I think that's the video, another video as well, but maybe it's not gonna work from that side. In that video, it's me and my colleague and another friend of mine that is the founder of the project at Koh Samsep along the Mekong area. We are chlorine we are chlorine on the sand floor in order to take some picture of the wagtail and also the tern. Yeah, next slide, please. Well, I think my presentation truly finished, but as we see, biggest conservation impact, is bringing tourism to enjoy Cambodia bird life, to benefit the community. And we have adapted, but looking to come back stronger and look forward to the return of the tourist season soon. And if you have any question, please kindly ask me. But some question that I could not answer, we will email you back. And thank you very much for listening to our presentation. And I hope you enjoy. And I'm sorry again for my English. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mardy. You may close the presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a very interesting talk. Very relevant for our times. Now, guys, if you have any questions, please you can ask Mardy right now. Oh, we have a question from Maya Taniedo.
Yep.
Was it easy or difficult setting up the domestic or local scheduled tours? Did you get many local tourists immediately, or did you really need to promote the tours?
Well, actually, because I've been working with many international NGO around the country, and those NGO exactly know Samviasna conservation tour very well, and they exactly know about the activity that Samviasna conservation tour is doing. So that is the main thing that after once they had enjoyed the tour with Samviasna before, and after they finish, they almost say something good about Samviasna. They always introduce to their friends, and that is the only thing that we could create some scheduled tour for the international local expat. But one thing, like in Phnom Penh city, there is some place which is very famous, where people or international tourists, they go to eat like breakfast or in like lunchtime or whatever. So we post our activity on the board in that restaurant or in that place, and when anyone go to eat, they see our activity and then they just call us and they register. But I think to promote that kind of thing with the people around us is the best idea that we are doing. As I have mentioned previously, if the COVID not very, very serious like the last 20th of February this year, the ongoing scheduled tour is still happening. Just right now, the restriction, closing the road and blocking some kind of commune, just happening everywhere. And now we cannot do anything.
Well, let's hope the situation improves soon.
Thank you. We just hope. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, we can only hope. I have a question about the poaching, because here in the Philippines, we noticed that the Philippines has a lot of islands, right? So
Yes.
what happened during COVID is that transportation is more restricted. So the wildlife from other islands coming to Manila, um, it's almost gone. However, we suddenly see people selling the more common species. The species that were not being caught before are now being offered, like very common birds like black-naped oriole and other birds. So here it's for the pet trade. So I was wondering, in Cambodia, is it for the pet trade or are they killing it for food?
Okay, to be honest, if you go to the social media like Facebook, I just hate that activity right now, because I think Facebook, it can be good and it can be really bad, because it have to promote, some logging and poaching activity. For instance, we have a lot of numbers of parakeets, Chinese francolin, so as the partridge as well, that been poached from the forest. They've been caught and then they promote it in their Facebook media and then they sell them. And especially the raptors, the steppen eagle, the changeable hawk eagle, rufous winged buzzard, almost any kind of raptors in Cambodia being poached every day, and especially at this time of the year, the number of the bird just increased all the time. And sometimes when the hunter or the poacher that went into the forest to collect some species of the raptor in order to sell, in order to sell to the market, but they never known what happened to the other endangered or critically endangered species that's staying nearby. So in one case, we have found the dead chick of the red-headed vulture, maybe falling down to death when they chase another crested steppen eagle. And this is really, really sad. And of course, the number of the bird, for instance, the giant ibis that killed last year and also within this year, it might impact from the hard time of the pandemic as well, because so many people, they've been going on into the forest every day. Yeah, and everything was found by our patrol team when they went into some of the feeding pond, they have found those carcasses, and that's really sad, because almost 2 or 3, 4% of the giant ibis population gone within, a year.
Okay, so we have another question here. Let's call on Paul Carino. Paul, can you ask Mardy?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kuya Mike. Mardy, thank you also for the great presentation you had tonight. I'm so glad learning about birding in Cambodia. My only question is about whether or not the communities around is also working with you, or are you happening to working with them, and if they are working with you, how do they able to contribute, or how will they able to be benefited from these type of birding program or tours?
Right. Thank you very much, and thank you for your question. So it's been a very, very long story. So most of the community that we've been working together in Cambodia, let's say about the Northern Plain or Tamat Valley, we've been working together more than 10 years already. Yeah, more than 10 years already. And every year before the COVID, some Vietnam had bring a lot of tourists to visit that place. And since our, presence, in their location, became so important, turned them from negative to be positive. Like the first time I heard that, since before I became, a conservationist who work, in our company and to deal with them, I think first of all, they welcome the conservationist people by the slingshot when we try to get into their place. And in one case, I would say maybe earlier 2002, there was number of the 2 white-shouldered ibis were found in 2002, but not in Mardy area, but somewhere not very far from that area. So you can imagine that the people almost believe that white-shouldered ibis or giant ibis totally extinct. But when they found those 2 birds, until now in Mardy, they have found the other pair, and just like, you know, around 1 decade, it turned from 2 or 3 to around like 58 individuals. Around 58 individual white-shouldered ibis, and this is, you know, indicate the positive key, you know, to change the local people behavior, especially the community member. And the community member, you know, like the chief of the community member, they have their role to educate their friends, their family members, and also we have to support them from the beginning. You know, we have to support them first of all. Give them all the training activity to be a guide, to identify the bird, to provide the best service for cooking, to provide, you know, the best accommodation, and all of those came from, you know, the partner and some Vietnam conservation tour that were totally support them from the beginning, and until right now they could earn around I would say 20,000, 30,000 US dollar every year before the COVID. And that is the main thing that they understood, and they believe that, wow, when the wildlife is safe, the money or the income keep going into their community all the time. And that's what I call it, the contribution conservation. Yeah.
Excellent. Nice. That's nice. Thank you so much, Marty.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, we have a question from Dr. Gombo of Birds Mongolia. Dr. Gombo.
Good evening, Dr. Gombo.
Dr. Gombo.
He probably not unmoved yet.
No. Okay. Let's ask Bella
Can you hear
first.
me?
Oh, okay.
Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening, doctor.
Mana ini sulci.
Oops. Or let's hear from Bella Tang from Alpine Birding first. Bella.
Thank you, Mike. Hi, Marty. All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, very well.
Oh, thank you so much. And hello from China. I was in Cambodia in 2008. I think I can remember correctly, but I was very impressive to say that we were in the I think it is a reserve of the giant ibis, and I'm so sorry to hear that 2 of the ibis were killed. So my question is, I have 2 questions. The first one is how the situation in that giant ibis spot, and my second question is about the ladies. When we were there are 3 nice ladies helped cooking for us, and what do they do now? That's my 2 questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, so first of all, let me get back to you for the first question. Can you hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. We've been respond to the sadness of the news from the giant ibis, so as the other wildlife in those protected area. And you know, after we have found that 2 cases of the giant ibis, and we haven't found anything yet. So it seems like, you know, the ongoing patrolling activity is still happening. So to be honest, from Vietnam at this time, we can't really go anywhere. So we only stay and listen and, you know, to receive the message from our conservation friends. And so I believe that, the giant ibis, so as the other species like vulture, may be having the good time. Yeah, they're having the good time inside the forest where they used to be. And recently, I don't know, it's so strange that we have a few rain, but quite a lot of strong rain as well. Recently, a few days raining, in Cambodia, or maybe in Siem Reap, but probably somewhere else as well. So I believe that the water, could bring a lot of food, source for our ibises, and so as the other big bird around that forest. As you know that our ibis, they like frogs. Okay, so yeah, the second question, I am really sorry, like last time we tried to bring, like I mentioned, we have the scheduled tour. So we try to bring the tourists to visit our friend there in the remote protected area. But right now, even myself, I said, I want to go and visit you. They say, no, please stay home. We don't want to meet anyone.
I understand.
Yeah, we do not want to meet you, or we do not want to welcome anyone. The only thing, because of the limit of, the information knowledge regarding to the pandemic COVID. So they really are afraid. So they only stay with their relatives. But as I have mentioned, so far, people still aren't going with their agriculture activities. Yeah, everyone there, they are farmers. So believe me, we have another NGO, sorry, we have another entrepreneur, like another company that deal with the ibis rice, right? You heard about it, ibis rice. So the ibis rice have the local farmer in the protected area across the country that be buying their rice with the premium price, which is like higher than the middleman. So we try to make sure that they have enough rice to sell to our company, like to our partner company, and they also still maintain their habitat and not killing, the animals or wildlife, or using any chemical fertilizer, or extend, the rice field. And that's another activity that's still ongoing. Even no tourists, but we still have some, income to support our community as well. And especially, I hope that when the world got the vaccine already, and 2022, that's what we hope, like we hope 2021, but now we hope for the 2022. So the tourists will come back, and our company will be strong again. We will use our power, to support the community as, much as we can.
Yeah, thank you. Can I ask another question, please?
Yes, please.
I want to know that how is the vaccination progress going in Cambodia? Vaccine.
Oh, okay. Recently, let's say, last month. Started from last month, the government has the project after we received the donation of the vaccine from China, and the government applied to all the military in the whole country. And at the moment, they also do with the family of the military. And right now, it goes to some of the big NGO, and also apply a little bit step by step to the local people already. And myself, I just got one vaccine like last week, so I will have another one on the 22nd. And I think I hope I could travel after the COVID end.
That's great to know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Last question from Dr. Gambo. He was asking if you have field guidebook to birds of Cambodia in English and in your mother tongue. And also in Cambodian.
I'm so sorry, but I think the Bird Guide Association, they have one field guide, right? That's all in English, but the one in English and Khmer, version, we probably don't have yet. But some is now conservation tour, and the partner of the Wildlife Conservation Society and some partner from the government. We also writing a new Cambodian bird book, and that Cambodian bird book supposed to be published in the near future, and that will be written in Khmer language, and it has the English name and scientific name. So that's what we have, but now it's in progress of the publishing. Yeah,
I think Dr. Gambo was trying to point out that, like, if it's in the local language more, it will educate more people.
Yes, yeah. That's what we do. We have the local language that some is not conservation to writing. So everything is in Khmer except the name. We have Khmer, English, and scientific name. But the description is in Khmer. So to be honest, there are so many local people that been asking for the source of the bird knowledge. But we just tell them that you will have them in the future in many species that we have in our country.
Okay, let's see. There's no more. Does anyone have any more questions? One last question.
Yes.
No more? Well, it's 10 p.m. already. It's a very productive talk. Before we end, just remind everyone that next Friday, our speaker will be Carlos Santana from Photo Logistics Spain. He's one of our regular delegates to the Asian Bird Fair too. Okay, and let's take a group picture first before we go. So can we ask everyone to turn on their camera?
We're
Job
waiting
you're
for
taking.
Hatun, Darren, and Rhea. Darren and Rhea.
Darren. Hi, Darren.
There's Rhea. Okay. Is Darren joining? Okay. Okay. Smile at your cameras. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you learned. I learned a lot from Mardy. And good luck to all of us.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Hope
Thank you,
to see you
Mardy.
in Cambodia soon.
Yeah, we'll see everyone in every country. Please stay safe.
Thank you,
very
Mardy.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Please see you guys again next Friday.
Yeah. See you next Friday.
Bye. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Okay, bye.
Stay
Good
safe.
night.